Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, most merciful. Hello and welcome to a new episode of Teaching English on Dروس Super Goal 3. Before we start, I would like to welcome my colleague, Mr. Fawaz Al-Aqil, the interpreter to the sign language. As always, we start our class with the objectives. What are we going to achieve at the end of this class? Inshallah, we are going to, the student will be able to differentiate between the weak adjectives and the strong ones. And the second objective, the students will be able also to identify some intensifiers. Okay, now we are at the last step in this unit, Unit 6, and the title of this unit is What Was It Like? And the last section of this unit is section number 11, which is for meaning and function. Okay, before we start, as always, we make a quick revision on our previous lesson. You remember last time we studied writing, how to write. How to write what? How to write narrative story. If you want to tell a story, we told you in the previous lesson that you have to put in your mind that the reader wants to know the setting, that wants to know where, when, who, what, why, and how. If you can answer these questions in your writing, that means your writer will be satisfied and will feel happy to read your article or your paragraph easily. Okay? And also, when you write, you need to take care of 5 skills. You need to take care of your vocabulary, your grammar, your spelling, your punctuation, and your handwriting. And you remember in the previous lesson, we talked about punctuation. We talked about how to use the punctuation, the exclamation mark when somebody is shouting, or when there is any case of exclamation, you use the exclamation mark. Also, we talked about the quotation marks. When you bring a speech of somebody directly as it is said, you put this quotation marks, the 2 quotation marks. Okay? Also, in addition to the 5 skills we mentioned, you have to take care of how to organize your ideas. You start your article with giving a general idea about what you are going to write about, and you take care of the setting that we said when you answer the 5 W's: where, when, why, who, what, and also how. Okay, also we're going to review some of the words or the vocabulary that we studied in the example of the narrative story that we had in our previous lesson, and we'll try to remind you of these words. If I ask you about a noun starting with S, which means a building which horses are kept. A building that we keep horses is called like this one. What do you call it? We call it stable. Very good. Okay, we had it in the previous text. It means when Faisal said, "My father and I walked by the stables to see the horses." Okay, another word that is a verb starting with P, to walk or march somewhere as a group. When you march somebody, audience or spectator, like these ones, it's called parade. To parade means to march or to pass by spectators or audience. We had it in this text also. The jockeys paraded past us. The jockeys are the horse riders. Okay, they paraded, okay, in front of the audience. Now starting with B, a pair of tubes with glass lenses to see things far away more clearly. If you can't see a far place, you use this one. What do you call it? This is the picture of this one, starting with B. Try to remember the word. Very good. That is binoculars. Binoculars. Okay, binoculars. We use it as a plural. Binoculars. Here, the example or the sentence that appeared in the text we read in the previous lesson. I looked in my binoculars. When the horses went away, Faisal looked through the binoculars. A noun starting with A, someone who speaks at a sports event. Okay, when there is a sport event, there is somebody who is telling events or things that happen, like this one. What do you call him? We call him or her sometimes announcer. This is an announcer. Okay, they are off. They are off. This is what the announcer said, shouted the announcer. That means the race started. Okay, that is a phrase starting with B, won by a very small distance. if the horse wins a race with very small distance, we call it by, like this one here, we call it by a neck. You know, the neck is the area of the body that connects the head to the body. So we call it a neck. It is an expression used for horses when they race. Sometimes the horses when in a very short distance, we call it by a neck. By a neck. Okay, Prince, that is the name of the horse. You remember in the previous lesson, the horse was in front by a neck. The horse was in front by a neck. That means it won the race by a neck. A noun starting with J, a person whose job is riding horses in races. We had it a while ago in one of our examples. What do you call the person who rides a horse? Okay, we call him like this one here. We call him a jockey. That is a jockey. The jockey looked confident. What do you mean by confident? That means he's sure that he is going to win the race, and that was what he did. Okay, now we go to our main class of today. That is form, meaning, and function. That is section number 11 in your book on page 55. In this lesson, you are going to learn something very important about construction, how to build your sentences correctly. Okay, let's make this introduction now. You have this one. This is called a truck, maybe. Yes, that is a truck. If you want to describe it, you can say this truck is big. We can say it is big. The truck is big. Okay, but what about this one? That is bigger. So if you want to describe it, you can say that is enormous. Enormous is another word for big, but the intensity or the strength of this adjective is more than the first one. We can say big, okay, for the first one, but the second one we say very big. We can say very big, or we can say enormous, but we cannot say very enormous. You can't say that because the adjective here is strong. So its strength is enough to say enormous, okay? Another word also, we can say big. We can use another adjective also, huge. You can say the truck is huge. You cannot use very here, but you can use very with big. You can say very big. But in describing the car, you can say enormous and huge. Okay? We have also this dolphin. You know, this is a sea animal called dolphin. We can talk about it. We can say this dolphin is clever. The dolphin is clever. But what about human beings? Human beings are brilliant. Brilliant, okay? That means comparing a clever, comparing the dolphin to human beings, we can say human beings are brilliant because they have brain and they can talk and they can think and they can make many mental processes. Okay, here we talk about the result of this student, his report. We can say that report is good. It's good, okay? But what about this report? We can consider this one as different. We can use a stronger adjective to describe this report. We can say it's excellent, okay? Do you want your teacher to say good to you, or you want him or her to say excellent? Of course, excellent is stronger than good, okay? Also, we can use good, and we can use another strong adjective, wonderful. Wonderful is a strong adjective also. We can say good, or we can say great. Great is a strong adjective, but good is not strong. We consider it as weak adjective. Good also can be used as a weak adjective, but fantastic is a strong one. Fantastic is a strong adjective. Also, there is a strong adjective called amazing. Okay, amazing. You hear sometimes your teacher saying excellent, wonderful, great, fantastic, amazing, and so on. Okay, also we can use another adjective which can be compared to awesome, to good. That is awesome. We can say awesome. Awesome means very good. Okay, so we can use very, the intensifier, with good, but we cannot use it with awesome. Okay. Also, we have another adjective. If you talk about this mouse, we can describe it as small. We can say it is small. But if you talk about insect, for example, this insect, you can see the insect here, and you cannot see easily it is very small. We can use another strong adjective to describe how small it is. We can say it is tiny. This is tiny. Okay, so good, small is a weak adjective, but tiny is a strong adjective. We cannot use very here in this case. Okay. Also, if you are sure about something, you can say I'm sure. I am sure. But if you are 100 sure, you can say I am certain. I am certain. Sure here, you can say I am very sure. But with certain, you cannot use very here because the adjective is strong enough. Okay. Also here, what this man is doing, he is logging, or he's cutting a tree, which is a very bad thing to do. We can say that is a very bad behavior. This is bad to do. Okay, but you can see here this child is hitting an animal. This is worse than cutting a tree, so we can say this is awful. So bad here is an adjective which is weak adjective, but awful here is a strong adjective. We can say very bad to describe what the man is doing here, but in the other one we can say awful, but we cannot say very awful. Okay. Also, we can talk about the action of this man. We can describe it as bad. It is bad to cut a tree. It is a bad thing to cut a tree. But for the child also, we can say that is a terrible thing. Okay, that is a terrible thing, which means worse than the adjective bad. And this kind of food, okay, we can describe it as tasty, good to eat, tasty. But when we talk about this kind of food, which is prepared very well, we can say delicious. If you eat something and you like it, you can say tasty. But if you like it very much, you can say it is delicious. So the adjective delicious is stronger than the adjective tasty. What is useful here? Tasty here is a weak adjective. We can say very tasty. But with delicious, we cannot say very because it is a strong adjective. Okay, now let's compare the strong adjectives with the weak adjectives. You can see the list here of the weak adjectives, as you can see here. In this case, we can use intensifiers. We call very here, we call it intensifier. But with the strong adjectives, we cannot use very here. We can use another thing, we call it adverbs. Okay, like what? We call the intensifiers here. For the weak adjectives, we can use very, quite, pretty, really, extremely. All mean the same. Okay, so we can say very big, quite big, pretty big, really big, extremely big. But with strong here, with strong adjectives, you cannot use very. You can use something called adverbs, like this one, absolutely enormous. We can say really huge. We can say completely great. We can say pretty tiny. We can say, like for example, totally excellent. We can say quite amazing, and so on. Okay, now you go to your book, page 55, and let's explain what's written there in the chart. We use adverbs like very, quite, really, pretty, extremely to make adjectives stronger. So these are considered as adverbs, but we call them intensifier to make the adjective stronger. Okay, so if you behave very well, your teacher will say good. But if you behave better, your teacher will say very good. Okay, or the teacher might use also a stronger adjective like the examples we said, awesome, excellent, wonderful, amazing, and so on. Okay, these adverbs are normally placed before the adjective. Where do we use them? We use them before the adjective. Like we say, you are an excellent student. You are an excellent student. Okay, we can say you are a very good student. Okay, now let's see some examples here. It is a very interesting exhibit. We can say everyone was pretty excited. So here these are the intensifiers that they modify the adjective interesting and modify the adjective excited. It is really interesting exhibit. We can say also everyone was extremely excited. Okay, and now here we are modifying the adjectives as we said. It is quite an interesting exhibit. Everyone was quite excited. So notice the note here. When there is a singular noun, quite goes before the article. We will come to this as an example in the exercise here. Strong adjectives are like enormous. These are the strong adjectives, which means very big. As we said, huge, which means very big as well. Brilliant, which means very good. Excellent, which means very good as well. Wonderful means very good. Great means very good. Fantastic means very good also. Amazing means very good. Awesome means very good. Tiny means very small. Certain means very sure. Awful means very bad. Terrible means very bad as well. Delicious means very tasty. Let's read the example here. The cake is very tasty, or you can say the cake is absolutely delicious. You cannot use here very, because delicious is considered as a strong adjective. Are you really sure? Here really is an intensifier which modifies the adjective sure. Are you really sure? The answer can be like this, or another question with certain. Are you totally certain, or are you quite certain? Here certain is a strong adjective. We cannot use very, but we have another option to use, for example, totally, or we can use quite. Okay, we do not use very with strong adjectives, as we said. We can use adverbs like absolutely, completely, totally, really, pretty, and quite. Now we go to the exercise that we told you about. This is exercise A. You can find this exercise on your book on page 55. You can answer this exercise with us all together. Circle the correct words. We have here some intensifiers that are written in the blue marker. In some cases, both words are correct. Now these intensifiers are modifying some adjectives, like as you can see here in the red font here: popular, great, awesome, red, friendly, huge, reasonable, delicious, and fantastic. All of these words are adjectives, and we need to modify them to make them stronger. Okay, let's read all together and answer this exercise. The pizzeria is, we can say extremely or completely popular. We can say extremely, okay, because we are talking about an adjective which is popular. It is really or very great. We can say it is really great. You can see here, great is a strong adjective, and which means we cannot use very with strong adjectives. This is very important to notice. Very is only used with weak adjectives. Okay, so let's read it again. It is really great place to spend the evening with friends. The decoration is, we can say, use both of them here: pretty, awesome, or completely awesome. And awesome is one of the strong adjectives, and you can use one of these, pretty or completely. The walls and the floor are, we can say, totally red or quite red. The right answer is to say totally red. And lights make it like you are inside a volcano. Okay, the waiters are extremely friendly. Now describing the waiters, the persons who give food to customers, we can describe them as extremely friendly. Okay, and the service is, we can say, very fast, or we can say quite fast. Fast also is a weak adjective, so we can use quite or very. There is a quite really huge selection. We can say here there is a really huge selection, and huge is also, as we mentioned before, a strong adjective. We use really to modify it, which is considered as an adverb. Of pizzas on the menu, and the prices are, we can say, both very reasonable or quite reasonable. Reasonable is a weak adjective, so we can use very or quite. The red hot special is, we can use both here, absolutely or totally delicious. Delicious, as we said, is the strong adjective of tasty. Tasty is a weak adjective. Delicious is a strong adjective. Okay, so invite your friends. It is fantastic. We can say it is absolutely fantastic. We cannot use very here. Fantastic is a strong adjective, and it is strong enough to stand alone without very. Okay. The next exercise, that is exercise B, rewrite the sentences with different intensifiers and adjectives. Now we have a sentence and you will need to rewrite it again using some other intensifiers. The exhibit was very good. Here we are modifying or explaining the exhibit as very good. We had a really good time. We can say this sentence. You can write your own. It might be correct. And we have some examples for you here. We answered it for you. The exhibit was extremely interesting. We used interesting instead of good, and we used extremely here to modify the adjective interesting. We had a totally awesome time. So totally here also is a modifier, and it modifies or intensifier which modifies the adjective awesome. Okay. Number two, the exhibit was very bad. We had a very bad time. How can we use it with other intensifiers? We can use this as an example. The exhibit was quite boring. We had a completely terrible time. So we use here quite to modify boring, and we use completely to modify terrible. Another sentence here, the food was very bad and the service was very bad. Okay, we can say the food was absolutely awful. Awful here, as we said, is a strong adjective which describes the food as very bad. Instead of saying very bad, you can say awful. And the service was quite slow. Okay, here also we are modifying the adjective slow with using the intensifier quite. The pizza was very good and the service was very good. Okay, the pizza was really delicious and the service was extremely friendly. Also really, extremely are modifiers, and they are modifying delicious and friendly. The last sentence here, that is very good idea. It is very clever. You can use it in another way, saying that is a really great idea. It is absolutely brilliant. Okay, so here great and brilliant are considered as strong adjectives. So we use intensifiers like really and absolutely. Okay, there is something here. There is a note you have to be careful about. When we use the intensifier quite, it is often used differently with base or weak and strong adjectives. How? With base adjectives, quite gives moderate emphasis. It gives moderate, normal emphasis. With strong adjectives, quite gives strong emphasis. Let's read the examples here. It was quite funny. When you say it is quite funny here, we use it with the weak adjectives. Quite means slightly. But when we use it with the strong adjectives like hilarious here, we say it was quite hilarious. Here means absolutely. Okay? So if you use it with weak adjectives, it means slightly. But if you use it with strong adjectives, it means absolutely. Okay, now as we told you before that there is an exercise in the previous lesson, we told you that there is an exercise which is exercise F in your book, in your workbook. This is very useful for improving reading. When we talked about the skill of writing, we said that reading is very important to improve writing. So this exercise is very easy, and it can improve your skill in writing. When you read this article, it consists of 3 paragraphs. This is about Ahmed, who went to Sudan in a charity trip to trying to help people, and I will advise you strongly to read this article. It is very easy, and you can find all the things that we talked about in our previous lesson about writing. Okay, this is paragraph number 2. You can pause the video or you can stop it and go to your book, page 114 in exercise F, and read it and check your comprehension, understanding by answering the following questions. Okay, this is the last paragraph, and Ahmed is telling us about his experience, and also you can find the comprehension question here. This exercise wants you to put the events or the things that Ahmed has done in order. Okay, Ahmed traveled to a village in Sudan, and then a charity asked Ahmed to design their website. His parents said he could help other charities, and he designed website for 2 other charities. Ahmed went back to Saudi Arabia. People started giving more money, and Ahmed made a new website. These are the things or the steps in order that Ahmed has done. Okay, let's review some of the vocabulary that we have studied in this unit, since we are ending up the unit 6 today, and inshallah in our next class we are going to start unit 7. Okay, it is a noun starting with C, an organization whose purpose is to help the poor. Okay, it is for helping poor, like this one, we call it charity. Charity is the organization that arranges for giving money for the poor people, or also giving other things. We had it in our unit here as a reading passage. My brother works for a charity. Okay, here we have another noun starting with B, a group of houses that is smaller than a town, usually in the countryside, like what Ahmed has found in Sudan. That is a village. Okay, I traveled to different villages to learn about the charity. A verb starting with D, to make something creatively, like this one, means design. To make something by a creative way, that is to design. He designed websites for 2 other charities. An adjective starting with N, making a lot of noise. If you want to describe something as making a lot of noise with an adjective, okay, it is called noisy. Okay, noise is a noun, noisy is an adjective. We pushed through the noisy crowd. When Faisal went to see the race, the horse race, he pushed through the noisy crowd. And who is the spectator? We call them a spectator. To push yourself up and down from the ground. When the horse jumped, you remember when the horse jumped and it scared Faisal? That is the word jump. Okay, look at the boy here. The boy is jumping. Okay, I started to jump because I was excited. Okay, and by this we come to the end of our class today. Thank you for watching, and see you inshallah in our next episode. Goodbye.